There are huge discoveries being made down on the surface of Antarctica right now, and they are covering it up. Things that would rewrite history. Things that would answer so many questions that science and archaeology have had for centuries. One of which is about those mysterious carved heads on Easter Island, that little island way out in the Pacific off South America. Nobody knew how those were created or why or who. Well, there has been a Moai head discovered on the surface of Antarctica. And this is going to start to put all of the global puzzle pieces together about where we came from. Now, we go much more in depth with this over at the Florida Maquis Alpha site. That's the backup site for the main channel here. We just dropped a video only about a half hour ago, so go check that out if you guys are interested in Antarctica. Over the last couple of weeks, we've dropped at least a dozen videos or so covering a great many topics, and we have a lot more to put out, so stay tuned. Some ask Florida Maquis, why are you so fascinated with Antarctica? Don't you know it's settled science? It's wind, ice, rock, and snow, penguin and seals. There's a huge science contingent down there, and we have a treaty, and nobody can go down there and bring their military, and nobody can go get coal or oil or anything else like that. I said, well, that's going to change. The vast majority of treaties created throughout history have been abrogated, have been gotten rid of. And I think people 100, 150 years right now are going to look back at this era and wonder, what were they thinking? All over the globe in the early 2000s, there were shortages of coal and oil and fresh water and energy. And there was this huge continent full of all of these things that could have solved all of these problems. Yet, for some reason, their fascination with penguins and seals stopped them, and it created so much heartache and war, literally, around the globe. This could have solved it. They're going to wonder how crazy we were. You see, their Antarctica might look very different than ours. They might develop technologies that will allow people to, instead of take cruises in Antarctica on ocean-going vessels, they might take cruises through the skies. Who knows what could be found there? So join us, Florida Maquis Alpha site. That's the direction we're going over there. But here today at this channel, a merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. Now that's King James Bible, Proverbs 17 and 22. You don't have to be a big Bible believer, though, to understand that laughter sometimes is the best medicine. There are a great many folks out there who are agnostic, have nothing to do with religion, that would say, yeah, Florida Maquis, I agree with that. Sometimes when things get rough and life just isn't going your way, sometimes you just got to laugh at it. And if you can find something to laugh at, it makes it a little bit better. This is a different translation of the Bible that says, a joyful, cheerful heart brings healing to both body and soul, but the one whose heart is crushed struggles with sickness and depression. I think we can all come together and agree that dwelling on negative things and bad things and sad things is not good for your health. Now, that doesn't mean, of course, don't be informed. But there's also a saying that says, there before the grace of God go I. Now, it's not biblical. There's no scripture that says this. But the phrase betrays the universal nature of God's grace. No one deserves or receives a larger helping of God's grace than another. God's grace is for all. And this is something I think that gets missed, and I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, what is this all about? Why are we talking about this, Maquis? Well, in today's video, I would like to share some things that should make a normal person smile and laugh. But for some reason, some folks, because of certain psychological dysphorias, won't laugh at it, won't look at it, and enjoy that blessing because they've lost the concept of grace. Now, I'll warn you, here's the first image that I think the vast majority of adults who have any sense of humor at all would laugh at. Now, some of you might remember this. This is from a long time ago. This was at Mar-a-Lago. There was this event that the previous president held Kyle Rittenhouse, young kid, showed up and had Lara Logan as his date. Now, this is funny. This is funny because every guy out there in my audience, the vast majority, 99% of the guys out there, remember what it was like when you were young and trying to keep the eyes at the horizon line. Especially when you had a woman show up dressed like this, dressed specifically to see if they can get you to look. You see, this is something where if you were standing, 50 or 65 feet away, you'd be laughing with your friends. Like, man, that poor kid. That poor kid. And she knows what she's doing. So even though some might say it's not wholesome and funny, it is. This is funny. It's comedy. And it's also evidence, though, of a very strange psychological dichotomy, a dysphoria that goes on with a lot of moralists in society. And I would like to cover this today and ask a lot of Christians their personal opinion on this. Now, we've shown this image before, too. This is the actor, Zach McGowan, and here he is on the set for Black Sails. He played a pirate leader. You see, we look at images like this and we say, well, perhaps women should dress a little bit more modestly, not show so much cleavage, and because that could cause a man to stumble. We hear this all the time. Why is there no specific prohibition against men behaving the same way? Because, ladies, you got to back me up here. 99% of those with a double X chromosome are going to have thoughts of basically the same rating when they see a guy like this. Do you ever hear anybody saying, a guy should, especially a Christian man, he should never walk around if he looks like this with his shirt off? Of course you don't. In fact, most guys would go up, shake the guy's hand, and say, man, you got to tell me, what your diet is or what your workout is. I mean, because, I want to look like that too. I want to be able to walk around with my shirt off and look like this. But does anybody ever say, well, wait a minute, wouldn't that cause perhaps a lustful response in women? I mean, go search the Bible. Go search the Bible and ask yourself the question, lust is lust, right? If it's incumbent upon women to allegedly cover themselves up to keep men from having some type of a thought perhaps they shouldn't have, why doesn't that go both ways? Because when you look at this, you know that when she picked the dress out, she knew what she was doing. She knew who she was going with. And like I said, it's funny. It's wholesome. It's something you should laugh at and, everybody has a memory of. Now, the funniest thing about it is this. This is sorry, it's taking a minute to load. It's muscleandfitness.com. It talks about the workout program that Zach McGowan went through, and let's see if I can get through all the ads here. And he didn't touch a single weight. He said, when I was trying to get in shape for this, basically, he was like, I wonder how pirates of the 17th and 18th century, how they stayed in shape, how they stayed able to do what they had to do. And so he went out and worked out basically naturally. He went out, and sorry for all the ads here, and he would climb up different towers, and he would do pull-ups and push-ups and sit-ups, and he would hit a heavy bag, and he would jog, and he would run. But he never hit the weights. He never got in the weight room. And a lot of the trainers that were assigned to getting people in shape for this, were kind of like, no, you need to lift weights if you want to look like this. And he was like, no, I'm going to do this naturally. And I'm scrolling down here through this because they list what he did, what his Black Sails workout was. Here's the heavy bag. Yeah, Black Sails workout, 13-mile run, 50 pull-ups, stopping 4 times to perform 50 more pull-ups on completion of the run, 100 more later in the day for 400 pull-ups total, 200 push-ups in 2 sets of 100 reps, and each set with a 2-minute hold at the top, handstand push-ups, 1 set of 25, inverted sit-ups, heavy bag training. Now, I'm sure this was at the end. This is what he was doing. He probably had to work up to this, but over at the Instagram channel, I put up a picture of yours truly. And it works. You don't have to touch a weight. You don't have to. It takes a lot of dedication and a lot of work. And yes, full disclosure, this is me. And you can go to Zach McGowan's Instagram, and you can go through, and he's kind of an interesting character, but every so often, what will you see? He'll show his workouts, 12.3 miles, 10 miles. And he's got pictures of his family and all the different things that he does, but every so often, 11.2 miles, 12.2 miles. I mean, it's not hard. And this is Tim Bassett. This is one of my viewers. We've talked about him before. He lives here just up north in Jacksonville. And Zach McGowan is 42. I'm 52. And Tim is in his 60s. I want to say 62, but he might even be older than this. So it all can be done. And even this guy, Shay Mooney, country music from Dan and Shay, I think it is, not real familiar. He dropped 50 pounds and all he did was walk. But what does this have to do with anything? Why is there one standard for men and another standard for women? Here's a perfect example. Completely dedicated to God and country, Trump lawyer Jenna Ellis and her quest for the truth. Now, you may or may not disagree with things that she's done or choices that she's made, but she has spent her life studying the Bible and trying to be as good a Christian as she can possibly be. She's known all about things of God from an early age, grew up in a biblically solid homeschooled family in Colorado, reading through the MacArthur Study Bible more than a dozen times. She now represents Pastor John MacArthur in the church's religious liberty fight over certain restrictions. So she's spent a lot of time trying to understand what the Bible says. But here are 5 different pictures of Jenna Ellis at different events. Now, some might look at this and say, well, wait a minute, Mucky, how can she be a Christian? Especially all the way to the left here. That's a dangerous dress. I mean, that's a lot of cleavage, and it's even at the arms it goes way down. It's got a really high this and that and the other. All this stuff is form-fitting. I can't see a Christian wearing something like this. Well, once again, why is it specific to women? See, we covered this yesterday too. This is a normal girl from the South here, Crystal Daniels, and she was sitting by the pool. She put up a video on YouTube, and she'd had a busy day, summer, I believe, July of 2020, and doing all sorts of stuff around the farm. And, she's wearing a bikini, and she's going to get ready to go for a evening horseback ride with her mom. See, why would people look at this and go, oh, that's, that you need to cover up there. You can't appear like that in public. I mean, that doesn't agree with what the Bible says. Like, really? Anybody ever see an Amish family? What's the first thing you always notice? They always got a bunch of kids running around, don't they? And I don't think the kids are clones. I don't think they're cooking them up in Petri dishes. So you can put 2 and 2 together about how all these babies are being made. Over and over and over and over and over again. Think about it. Think about it. Dress has nothing to do with it. These folks dress covered up, neck to shoulder, and all the way down the wrist and all the way down to all the time. And they're continually popping out babies over and over again. Can anybody explain that? I mean, why is it always one direction? Guys, newsflash. Ladies have thoughts too. So the question that I would ask is this. See, when you go back to this image, now think about this for a minute. This is a psychological thing that we teach our young men. Or, we're supposed to be teaching our young men, I guess I should say, that we're going to go someplace and there are going to be women dressed a certain way. Keep your eyes at the horizon line, no matter what. Keep your eyes on the horizon. You're going to want to look. Don't look. But wait a minute, why doesn't that go the other way? If there were guys out there dressed in a certain way that would cause women to have certain feelings, do we teach young women the same thing? You see, we kind of don't have to. It's because women are they seem to be a little bit better at being discreet naturally. Sometimes. You see, when you're staring at your phone, watching a Florida Mucky video, you don't have to necessarily avert your eyes one way or the other. But I guarantee if Zach McGowan was walking down the beach somewhere and you were with a group and there was women in the group, I guarantee they would be looking and they would be making sure you didn't see them look. But they would be looking. But it does go to the idea of, why does the Bible address one state but not the other? Because sin is sin, right? See, we go back there, but for the grace of God go I. You see, we all have grace. We are all fallen. We are all in need of grace, whether you're a man or whether you're a woman. So we shouldn't be necessarily holding these things one way or the other against each other or finding reason to. And I think this is the perfect emblem of that. Yes, she knew what she was wearing. Did she mean harm by it? No. It was fun. It was a fun lark to have with a young teenage kid that had spent a lot of his time in the spotlight in a very serious context. Here, people can smile in a very wholesome way and kind of have a laugh at his expense. And a merry heart doeth good, like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. So anyway, I just wanted to cover that in this context. I know that was a long way to go to get here, but understand we're all in need of grace. I know I am every single day. I don't get it right all the time. I do the very best I can. Sometimes things are a little doom and gloom, and sometimes people look at my descriptions and titles and probably read more into them than what I intended. But one way or the other, find a way in your day to smile at something, to laugh at something, and be blessed by something. And to me, this was the best thing that happened to me all week. One of my viewers showing up and putting up a video like this, just classic girl in the South, just doing what girls in the South do in the summertime, and not having any particular issue with it one way or the other. No moralizing, no overthinking. Well done, Crystal Daniels, by the way. So anyway, and that's the name, by the way, of her channel, Crystal, Krystal Daniels. I'll click on it here real quick. She's gotten a few more subscribers. We covered this yesterday, 401 subscribers. I think that video has gotten a few more views for obvious reasons. But she's got some great stuff here. I mean, all sorts of stuff from the farm. And check her out, Crystal Daniels. Great stuff, hon. Appreciate it. So, also, Florida Mucky Alpha Site, the stuff in Antarctica, it's just piling up, guys. It's just, there's so many things that have been caught by those satellites that cannot be explained. I have a collage, I wish I would have brought it up, of dozens and dozens of things that we have found all in one picture. And even if you don't believe in some of them, to dismiss all of them would just be almost impossible. So anyway, happy weekend. Have a great Saturday. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.